good, very good. Yay. That's just a brief demonstration of a laughter yoga technique that I use called breakout laughter. And this is the topic I'm interested in discussing is research proposal on laughter yoga and its potential influence on hope. Laughter yoga, or hasya yoga, is intentional controlled laughter with yogic breathing, or pranayama, through various exercises, similar to one that I just did. Anybody can laugh without relying on humor or jokes or comedy. Laughter yoga allows us to sustain wholehearted laughter without additional cognitive effort or judgment. So we bypass the intellectual and social systems that typically regulate our expressions of laughter, which means we can laugh longer, deeper, and more intentionally. Laughter yoga was created in 1995 by Dr. Madan Kataria, a cardiologist in Mumbai, India, with his wife Madhuri and 3 friends that met in the morning in a park to practice laughter. They're pictured here. These are the folks that I took my training from. Now there are thousands of laughter yoga clubs worldwide with hundreds of thousands of participants. There's a sizable and growing body of medical research that shows the physical and mental benefits. Hasya yoga has spiritual dimensions for those who seek deeper connection with the core of their own joy and well-being. Laughter Yoga International provides resources and training for seekers, participants, leaders, and teachers. Now, laughter yoga and laughter therapy are related but very different concepts. Laughter therapy is a general term for techniques that use laughter and humor in medical and mental health contexts. The National Cancer Institute recognizes laughter therapy as a type of therapy that uses humor to relieve pain and stress and improve a person's sense of well-being. It may be used to cope with serious diseases like cancer. Laughter therapy may include exercises, clowns, comedy movies, books, games, puzzles, and etc. It's a complementary therapy. It's also called humor therapy. Well, the key there is that you're introducing humor or comedy or some kind of activity, something funny, in order to get people to laugh. Similar to Norman Cousins' famous book, Anatomy of an Illness, where he used movies and jokes to build laughter. Laughter yoga, by contrast, is intentional controlled laughter without humor or comedy as a stimulus. In this form, people laugh by choice. Central exercise in Hasya yoga is 5 minutes of laughter for no reason at all. You just laugh. It's because of this causeless character of the practice that some label it simulated laughter or forced laughter, but neither is an accurate description, any more than one may call the controlled breathing practices of pranayama yoga simulated breathing or fake breathing or forced breathing. Now, controlled breathing is genuine breathing, just as controlled laughter is genuine laughter. But it's intentional, and that's what causes people difficulty understanding that practice. I'm interested in researching intentional controlled laughter as a mental health technique. While the laughter therapy in a wider sense is relevant in ways, I'm not focusing on methods that employ humor causing laughter. The laughter yoga literature, I have about 50 studies that can count as laughter yoga. I chose from my searches of the literature studies that either referenced laughter yoga specifically, described exercises that I recognize as laughter yoga, referenced the history of laughter yoga from Kataria, for example, referenced his works or other works that were laughter yoga represented. And those were the ones I picked. There are a few other studies in the 25 that I have for this particular presentation, but they're all related to laughter yoga and not laughter therapy, at least in the studies that are trying to find effects. So from the laughter yoga literature, I have found studies that draw these conclusions. That laughter yoga practice may lower blood pressure, lower blood glucose, lower cortisol levels, lower pain, strengthen the trunk muscles, lower stress, lower anxiety, lower depression, increase resilience, and aid sleep. And the parentheses numbers, the last page of this presentation has the studies, and I've numbered the studies, and they can be referred to by the citations here. There was one very interesting, Van der Waal and Koch studied laughter-inducing therapies. Now, they included laughter yoga and laughter therapy, but they specifically separated them. They recognized the difference between them, which I recognize. It's a systematic review and meta-analysis. And what they found was that both laughter yoga and laughter therapy, the humor-inducing type, have positive effects on depression and anxiety. But what they also found was this. The systematic review found there was a reasonable, convincing trend indicating simulated, non-humorous laughter has a more positive effect on depression and anxiety compared to spontaneous or humorous laughter. So here they're using the simulated versus spontaneous, but that's okay. What they're saying is that laughter yoga, and they identify it as such, has a more positive, a higher effect on improving depression and anxiety than did laughter therapy, which is the humor-caused laughter. The research that I would like to pursue is whether laughter yoga can increase one's sense of hope. I'll talk shortly about why it matters whether or not it increases sense of hope. But my rationale is this. There's a conceptual relationship between intentional attention, which is sometimes called mindfulness, meditation, and hope. Snyder, the kind of like progenitor of positive psychology, analyzed hope when he developed his Snyder Hope Scale as having two main features, one of which is agency or goal-directed energy. Okay? This was, if one is going to attain hope, one's sense of agency or goal-directed energy must increase. Hopes et al. Also found that mindfulness meditation, practice of which increases hope. There was a positive correlation between the two. Now, laughter yoga engages intentional attention. This is my assertion. Laughter yoga engages intentional attention in ways similar to mindfulness meditation. Well, I'm interested in it. So it is possible that laughter yoga practice may also increase hope, just as Hopis found for mindfulness meditation, because it engages the goal-directed energy that Snyder says is essential to hope. The study context that I imagine while I am an employee and student at Oregon State University is student populations. So graduate students, it seems like a very good possibility for me, or graduate students, or a subset of graduate students, such as honors college students at Oregon State University. And if I develop this in the way I'm hoping, I might go through all of those populations. Of course, I'd need to write a protocol for OSU's Institutional Review Board, which I would do. The research design for use at the university, students as subjects, and let me add, if this is successful, I would also move on to faculty and staff. That's why I'm doing the Laughter Yoga Club, is for the benefits of staff, but also students. But it was initially for staff. I would produce an experimental randomized controlled trial. I think that in the future, in the counseling practice, a single subject study would be very, very powerful with respect to clients. And in that case, I would teach clients laughter yoga have them practice it throughout the week, do the assessments, and use that as a single subject study. The single subject study could also be done, in place of the experimental randomized controlled trial that I plan to do, but I think that the experimental approach is probably the stronger approach in terms of attempting to establish causality if indeed I'm able to get a large enough sample. So here's how I intend to do the data collection. I'm going to design an online system of videos that will deliver laughter yoga interventions, that is the videos, preceded and followed by assessments. So I would make, let's say 30 videos that have different laughter yoga exercises, anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. And then the subjects would access those videos. They would be randomly assigned a video. They would be given an assessment to fill out prior to the intervention and after the intervention. My choice is to use a combination of the Snyder Adult Hope Assessment and the Beck Hopelessness Scale. I need some consultation to understand what's the best way to administer these assessments, but I think doing the polarities between the hope assessment and the hopelessness assessment would be a very strong way to build a contrast. With this system, I can apply the intervention and measurement in an experimental design with a significant sample with a control group. I could do videos that showed them some exercise that had nothing to do with laughter. That might make a very good control group. This could also work with single study design. So if I build this system, I can do both, and I can continue to do them with longevity. What I don't know how to do is to determine the optimum number of interventions and measurements in order to collect sufficient data to test the causal hypothesis. That's something I hope to find out soon. Now, what are the limitations of this? Well, one of the practical limitations is time. Students are in short supply of time. So I need to make this compact enough and efficient enough to be able to recruit and sustain students. If students were to do these interventions twice, maybe even once a week, or every couple days over a period of time, then I think it is doable. The limitation on generalizability is this: not everybody wants to do laughter yoga or is willing to be in a study. So the people that would be participating in the study and being measured are people that already have a certain openness to the idea of doing laughter yoga. Otherwise, they'd simply quit. So the best I can do is to generalize the people who have that openness. And those people might already have attitudes that predispose them to increasing hope, or something like that. There could be a bias built into who's willing to be in the study in the first place. I don't know how to control for that. Laughter is a complex phenomenon. It exists around the world. I don't know that there are actually cultures that don't laugh, but I think they laugh in different ways. And I think there are different social norms about laughter. And it's not just cultural. I think that, through our lives, the way that we're raised and our families, in a whole bunch of ways, even amongst genders, perhaps, we have different standards with respect to what's laughable and what's not what's funny and what's not, but when it's okay to laugh. And this is maybe one of the reasons that some people are reluctant to participate in it. So what are the benefits of doing this? Why do this study? Establishing a way to instill hope, if it works, is pretty valuable to universities that are trying to help students. And here's why. And this is taken from literature. Not the laughter yoga literature, other literature it's about the importance of hope in undergraduate students. There's several studies. What they find is this: one, that hope is a protective factor in suicide. That's pretty strongly indicated. And the hopelessness scale of Beck is one that shows us where somebody is at risk for suicide. Suicide, that's something that needs to be dealt with, and if we can do it by helping instill hope, all the better. Hope is associated with improved coping for most people. Hope is associated with improved well-being overall. Hope is a moderator between depression and negative life events, so it can build a buffer. Hope is a factor in healthy human engagement and is able to positively predict student, academic, peer, and intellectual engagements, successful students are more hopeful. So I think these are such high benefits that it's worth discovering whether we can increase people's profile of hope. And I must add that we're talking about hope in a kind of generalized way, not hope about one specific thing that I'm going to get an A on an exam, but hope as an attitude overall that a person has. And this is what helps buffer them against the difficulties of life. So I also believe that I can construct this in a way that individual study subjects would benefit from learning the practice of laughter yoga. Even if we don't find that hope is the outcome, practicing laughter yoga has a number of established, arguably well-established benefits. And so participating in that is going to be beneficial to them anyway. They also may find interest in learning the results from the hope scales, which I hope that I would be able to give to them. Here, they're all small, but they're here. So here's the references that I pulled from and am citing in the parts above. So I hope that I'm able to take this study forward and add to this literature and give us a tool that helps us to help people become more hopeful. For myself, I take my laughter seriously.